Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your Daily Five. I'm Joe Duarte from Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com, author of the #1 bestseller, Options Trading for Dummies, thanks to you. And of course, my website is Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com. If you like what you hear and see today, please consider a free trial subscription to the website. Let's get started here. I want to talk about how to play the resurgent bull market in housing today. And of course, anyone who's been watching my videos lately knows that I'm into this megatrend concept now. And a quick review here is that a megatrend is a fundamental new direction or dynamic that changes society in an evolutionary way. And of course, we know about PCs, the internet, internal combustion engine, of course, AI now. Well, I'm going to show you today that housing, just good old-fashioned housing, is actually in the midst of a multi-year and perhaps multi-decade megatrend. And of course, what we want to focus on is those behavioral patterns in society that steadily attract investor capital for a period of years. So the housing megatrend started in 2008 when there was that subprime housing bust. And of course, builders reduced production, banks tightened lending standards, and this resulted in a long-term supply shortage of housing. When COVID hit, the supply shortage increased, and then there was the migration of people to the Sun Belt, which made things even tighter. So now, to go along with all those things, we have this generational shift that is accelerating. Baby boomers are downsizing and moving to warmer states, and millennials are looking to buy and build families, while generations X and Z are hunting for apartments. This puts together a huge confluence of factors that is likely to spur the housing market even further. So who's benefiting? Well, of course, home builders, you have building materials, and you have real estate brokers, and commercial real estate. The apartment REITs are actually doing better, even though the office building REITs are crashing and burning. So let's look at the housing market dynamics real quick here. So you want to understand that it's all about supply and demand and the balance between supply and demand. And right now we have perpetually low supplies. And of course, it's about interest rates, which regardless of how high they seem to be, they're still low by historical standards. So when you have tight supply and demand and favorable interest rates, as I'm going to show you in a second here, you have the potential for yet another up leg. So here, let's look at some investment factors. Again, you got to know the status of supply and demand. You have to know your sector components. You have to focus on the present. Of course, you want to trade what's moving now. And of course, you do that by doing breakouts and also by investing during tradable pullbacks. And then, of course, you want to look at things in the future, such as companies that are whose stocks are basing right now. And so you want to build those positions slowly. Let's look at the mega trend. And when I first saw this chart, I was completely blown away because this is going all the way back to 2009. This is the S&P Homebuilders. And what you see here is the perfect picture of a mega trend, 2009 to 2023. That's 14 years of a bull market. Every single pullback has been bought by investors, and there's no reason to think that at this point, based on those fundamentals I talked about earlier, that this isn't likely to continue. So if you don't believe anything that I'm telling you, go back and look at this chart. And now let's look at those factors that come together to make things happen in housing. Of course, anyone who reads my market summary on StockCharts.com every week is familiar with this chart because I post it just about every week. And so what we have here is mortgage rates. You can see that they are now starting to move sideways. 7% looks like it's about the top. And we're starting to see lower rates here. Well, guess what? That's because the U.S. 10-year bond yield is forming the same pattern. The U.S. 10-year bond yield is the main factor on mortgage rates. But look at what we see with the home builders during this period. Stable interest rates, bullish trend for home builders. So this is the second chart you want to keep in mind when you want to look at the big picture. All right, let's get right into what to invest in. This is the Home Builders ETF, the SPDR S&P Home Builder ETF. Symbol XHB. And you can see here that in October of last year, 2022, we formed a bottom, nice double W bottom here, and it's been up, and away ever since. Every dip has been bought back, and you can see that the accumulation distribution is very supportive. That's because these are short sellers bailing out. You can see that buyers are coming in. On balance, volume is rising. Now, where are we right now? Look like we're getting a little bit overbought. What happens when this thing gets overbought? Look back here, goes back to the 20, 50, or 200-day moving average, find support with some volume by price bars over here on the left. And so what we would expect now is maybe a pullback to here or here, volume by price bar, 50-day moving average. That's probably your next buying opportunity. You might want to give this thing a little bit of a chance to pull back. Nevertheless, if you want to buy the entire housing sector, this is the way to go. So you want to invest in home builders. Pretty much all home builders tend to rise and fall simultaneously. So here's one that you can look at, KB Homes. Well, I chose this one because it tends to focus on the lower end of the market, starter homes, and there's a need for that. So they're going to benefit from that. Again, same pattern. Bottom in October, took out all the resistance here at this volume by price bars. Big cluster down here. Accumulation distribution on balance volume. Same thing as we saw before. We want to let this thing rest up a little bit and come back to the 20 or 50-day moving average. But there's a really good chance that it's going to find support there and rally again, as long as interest rates and mortgage rates remain favorable. So let's change gears a little bit here. How do you make money by investing in real estate brokers? Well, a lot of people don't know it, but Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has a huge presence in real estate brokerages. Not only do they own the Berkshire Hathaway brand of brokers, but they also have a myriad of other regional brokers under their umbrella. So anytime you drive by somebody's house that's for sale, there's a chance that Warren Buffett actually owns a brokerage firm. Again, what you see here is the October bottom. This is a very reliable pattern now, new highs. So if you want to invest in this one, just like the others, wait for it to come back a little bit. But again, accumulation distribution on balance volume, this is a bull market. And yes, it's getting a little bit overbought. So let's step way away now from direct housing stuff. Let's look at some indirect. So Home Depot. Horrible earnings lately, just terrible outlook from the company. And you can actually see that there's been some very heavy selling. But guess what? The short sellers never got back in, and the stock is basically bottom. So if you want to invest in home repairs, and interestingly, Home Depot is now selling infrastructure, tiny home kits for $45,000. So you can buy the frame for your tiny home at Home Depot for $45,000. Once we see this on balance volume turn up a little bit, and if this pattern for Home Depot holding up here above the 200-day moving average holds up, as it seems is going to, this is one you might want to add to the portfolio a little bit slowly. You want to buy building materials, a great way to go is Owens Corning insulation. All houses need insulations. The home builders, regardless of the of what you read or hear, they're all building homes steadily because they know that people are moving to the Sun Belt and they're going to buy a house at some point as long as interest rates remain favorable. So what we see here is Owens Corning took off, and it's way overbought. Now you can see the RSI here way above 70, but again, this is one to keep in mind. Again, when we see here that it pulls back to this 20 or 50-day moving average, this is a good opportunity to consider getting into the shares. Now, let's just change gears completely. This is a real estate investment trust that focuses on apartment communities, and it's one that I recommended several weeks ago at Joe Duarte and the moneyoptions.com. It's called Avalonbay, symbol AVB. Look at this. This is beautiful. We have this great classic cup and handle here. Cup, handle, breakout. And again, ADI is just beautiful here. Short sellers getting out. Buyers are now coming in. A little bit overbought, so we can expect a little consolidation here. But again, This is all about the Generation X and Generation Z moving into apartments. So to recap, the housing market is the longest lasting mega trend at the moment, 14 years. In order to invest in it, you have to think beyond the obvious. You have to know the status of the supply and demand, you know the status of the external factors, which in this case is all about interest rates and supply. You know your sector and your subsectors. You want to buy your home builders. You can do ETFs. You can do apartment REITs, building materials, tiny homes, Home Depot, who knows? You can buy strength as it's breaking out, and I showed you that in several instances. And you can buy consolidating assets. Think of Home Depot. It's consolidating at the moment. That's all I have for today. I'm Joe Duarte, from Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com, author of the #1 bestseller, Options Trading for Dummies, now in its 4th edition, thanks to you. If you like what you see here, please consider a free trial subscription to my website, Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com. And if you're interested in real estate, this is for you. My Buy Me a Coffee page, you can see the link here. I'm expanding the real estate coverage on this page. So if you sign up for a membership here, which is very inexpensive, you can get all kinds of details on real estate specifically on this page. Until next time, remember, trading is uncertain. Always be prepared.